Good morning again. Nancy from Unity El Paso. And as promised in the Daily Word post that we just did for September the 13th, I am going to share with you a talk that I gave back in October of 2014, Navigating Change and What Carries Us Through. As some of you know, those people who know me, I am not a Bible person or one who faithfully attended church over many years in my past. After having a spiritual epiphany in the 80s, I have eaten crow over my previous outspoken thoughts about church, tithing, and etc. I am certainly glad that's over. No more picking feathers out of my teeth, so to speak. So everything I share with you this morning comes from my personal relationship with God. Today's lesson that I originally gave back in 2014, here it is 6 years later, and I feel it might be an appropriate reminder for us as we currently face so many changes in our lives. If we become entrenched in the news of events that are taking place in our world, in addition to the changes that are taking place in our personal lives, we can surely lose hope in the will to carry on. Being informed of what is taking place around us is certainly important, but allowing things to bring us down to the point that we forget who we are and what lies at the very core of our being is detrimental to our well-being. It is my personal belief that every living being has come into this world possessing a spark of spirit, a spirituality that has no denomination on it. That indwelling spirit, God, or the Christ presence, expresses itself through each of us. It is also my personal belief that everything that happens in our lives has a purpose, and the knowledge gained from the experiences we have will be useful to us, if not now, at some time in the future. It has been my observation from as far back as I can remember. I have always been aware of that presence. At one time or another, I referred to it as my guardian angel. Perhaps it has been the same for you. Have you ever noticed that somehow, some way, no matter what the gut-wrenching experience was that you were going through at the time, as a child, a teenager, or an adult, things always seemed to work out? Maybe they didn't always work out the way we were envisioning for sure, but we were okay and life went on. I can remember being scared, dreading the unknown, and yet each day dawned anew, and sooner or later, I had to step into it. It is no different for us today, right? We can spend a time in total desperation, depression, where we feel there's nowhere to turn, no positive alternative to the situation we face. At some point, when we just can't take any more, somehow, some way, we are led to turn to that presence within. At times, we plead to release us from the agony we are experiencing, to give us relief from the anguish we are feeling. There are times when the agony and anguish are overpowering. It seems to consume us until we remember to let go and let God. What I've come to believe is that the Christ presence within us is what carries us through life's adventure. It is that survival instinct that every living being possesses. Have you ever noticed that when you are pushed to the limit, and when your back is against the wall, you come out fighting? It has been that way for me more than once in my life. I call it saving my life. For me, it means remembering who I am and clinging to that above all else. Well, that gives me chills. Can any of you relate to that? Maybe it's not the same for all of us, for certainly God works with each of us in a different manner, tailor-made just for us. More than anything, I encourage you to take a look at your life. What spurs you to continue on in the face of uncertainty? Are you aware of that powerful presence within that supports you and provokes what no other provides, what no other presence in your life can give you? What I'm noticing is that everyone is experiencing change in their lives in one form or another, and that is a mild statement right now. Even organizations that have been in existence for many years are reevaluating how they are to thrive in these times. Unity El Paso and other churches like it are in the same boat. One of the things I know for sure is that when change is taking place all around us, we have to adjust to that change in order to make it through whatever we're facing. The more we struggle against it, the more uncomfortable it becomes. We can truly exhaust our energies and lose our perspective. Perhaps what we need to understand is that something powerful is at work, and instead of resisting and struggling against it, we might be better off pausing and taking a look at it from another viewpoint. There are just some things we are not in control of, folks. So this is where we draw on our faith in God. Turning the situation over to God and trusting that this all-knowing presence will bring about an outcome that is beneficial to all gives us peace. The next step is to be open and receptive to what is ours to do. We must continue to hold a higher vision for ourselves and others until we receive that aha moment, the guidance we've been seeking. We show up and do what is ours to do in the moment, always with the highest integrity. Once we have asked God for understanding and what we are to do next, we must be open and have an awareness to catch sight of the answer when it comes. As many of you know, the answer can come in many different forms, perhaps in the word of a song, a book that falls off the shelf at just the right time, a person that comes into our lives, a movie, something a stranger says to us, something actually in the daily word, and most importantly, during a time of meditation and contemplation. However it comes, it is up to us to recognize it and act on what we have received. For me, the wisdom I have gained from my association with Unity, its 5 basic principles and the 12 powers of man, together with my own personal reflection in times of prayer and meditation, continue to help me understand the life I have lived up until this point. Since time is short to give this talk, I refer you to Unity Worldwide Ministries website. If you are unfamiliar with the principles, etc., take the time to look at it. It's really powerful stuff, and it works if we will only listen and apply it to our lives. It doesn't hurt to be reminded of these tools and other tools that help us find our way. I personally implement each of these as I make my way through change, and they provide me with a sense of peace, and perhaps in some instances a sense of excitement of something new coming into my life. I'm sure you've heard the saying, when one door closes, another one opens. I found this to be true. And as Reverend Isaac has often said at our church, sometimes we spend a good deal of time in the hallway before that new door opens. What are we supposed to be doing while we're in that place? Perhaps while continuing to stand strong in our faith, we are also bringing ourselves back into alignment with Spirit, relinquishing our will and accepting God's will for us. That would make sense, wouldn't it? It takes patience, perseverance, and a great deal of faith. Nobody told us it would be easy. All of this calls on us to raise our consciousness, to stop sleepwalking, to speak and take an active hands-on approach to our spiritual lives. When we do that, life takes on a whole different aspect. We can actually see the everyday miracles that are happening all around us. Life can be exciting and joyful, as it is meant to be, fulfilling. It always amazes me how well planned our lives are. It's certainly not by us, but by that higher power. If we really follow the sequence of events that take place in our lives, we can marvel at how precise and creative they are when they are definitely for our good. Whenever we try to force something into being for ourselves that is not for our good, we encounter obstacle after obstacle, which is God's way of saying, just let it go already. It's not for you. Not only does God gift us with his steadfast presence, but he always gives us someone to stand by us throughout whatever we are going through. We are truly never alone. How good is that? It is God and our faith in God that carries us through all of life's challenges. I can tell you that I appreciate each and every person that I have met at Unity El Paso, each person in our congregation. And even though I can't be with them in person at this moment, I still appreciate them and think of how each talented person is, their special aura about them. We have always shared our experiences, and we identify with each other and recognize our oneness. We're all learning to be the best we can possibly be, to fully grow into and recognize the magnificent beings we are, and to love one another unconditionally as God loves us. If you believe that we are physical manifestation of God in this world, is there anything we can't achieve if it's for good? When that day arrives, every human being, when everybody remembers who we truly are, regardless of the color of our skin, the language, whatever we choose to call that higher power, we will experience the fullness of God. I can't begin to grasp the meaning of all the atrocities that are taking place in the world now, but I do know that God's here. I do know that we can all be grateful for what God has given us and for the blessings we continue to receive that we cannot put a price on. I do know we can all send blessings out into the universe for anyone and everyone who may be seeking. We don't have to know them personally. On a soul level, we know and we are connected to every living being. Thank you for spending time with me. God bless us all.